Hello there and welcome to my channel Novice Modelling and the Midlife Crisis. My name is Andy and this evening I'm going to be doing you a quick what's in the box kit review of my VENTURA models 1/72 scale Australian Spitfire Mark VIII. Now for those of you that are unfamiliar with VENTURA models, they actually made models based out of New Zealand in the 1990s, and this particular one we're looking at here. I've tried tracing it on scale mates, but it doesn't actually give me a precise date as to when it was issued. It just says 1990s. I'm thinking it's late 1990s to be honest with you, but somebody may be able to correct me on that. Being a novice, that's something that quite normally happens. Now I'm actually picked this one out today because in the UK it's still, well, I'm recording this at 10 o'clock and it's still Thursday the 25th of April, and it came to my attention yesterday during a sort of conversation with a couple of guys on a different video I'd done, a chap called Mike and a chap called Lord Lloyd, that it was actually Anzac Day. Anzac Day being a day of remembrance for the fallen of mainly the First and Second World War obviously, but also subsequent wars that have taken place since. Obviously in the UK we celebrate this sort of thing on, we don't celebrate it, sorry, we remember this day on November the 11th. So I thought it would be kind of interesting to try and find something that was kind of relevant to this. And I had a route through my collection and this was the most logical thing I could find because it's an Australian Spitfire and it's made by a small New Zealand company. So Anzac being Australia, New Zealand Army Corps. Obviously this is an aircraft, so it's not quite Army Corps, but it's the same theoretical situation. So I thought it'd be logical just to have a quick nose at this one. So let's have a look in the box and see what we've got. Now for those of you, like I say, that are unfamiliar with this type of kit by this manufacturer, they are kind of interesting. I have actually built one before, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. Some people might call this a sort of garage kit. It was actually made by a guy called, well, the company of a guy called Malcolm Laird, who's, it turns out, I've found out is quite a respected historian, particularly on Australian, New Zealand aircraft, and he seems to have a particular thing for producing, well, he had a particular thing for producing Spitfire kits in the 1990s. So we'll have a quick look at the instructions first and we'll have a read of this little bit of blurb here, which is basically about this particular aircraft. So the Spitfire Mark VIII Supermarine Type 359 along with the pressurized Mark VII was intended as a major redesign of the Spitfire, incorporating larger rudder, retractable tailwheel, strengthened fuselage, Merlin 61 engine, Volks Aero V tropical filter and many other detail refinements. The result was a much more powerful warplane than the preceding Mark V. However, rejigging for Mark VIII production would have caused too long a delay in critical fighter production, and so the interim Mark IX filled the Mark VIII's role in Great Britain. With its tropical filter as standard, the Mark VIIIs were instead sent to the Middle East, Southeast Asia and the Pacific conflicts. Australian squadrons began re-equipping with Mark VIIIs from April 1944 onwards and used the type extensively till the end of the war. The last were withdrawn from service in 1946 and for some time over 300 were kept in storage. So here we go, these are the basic outlines of the aircraft. We can see we've got decals. I can count 3 different aircraft here, judging by the serial numbers on them. We have a decent size diagram for the relevant camouflage design, and this one actually comes with a 90-gallon drop tank as well. The tropical filter, I think, is either this part or this part. I should have actually looked because it is quite an interesting subject. I'm sure someone's going to pull me up on that. And obviously we have the shark's teeth here on this particular aircraft as well. So we'll have a quick look at the instructions. Now I've had a laugh at these instructions previously because on the one that I built, because they're pretty basic and it's quite a complicated model to put together. So section 1 is basically put the the cockpit interior together and seal the fuselage up. Section 2 is put the wings together and mount them to the fuselage and sort the tail out, and then you get this. It's a little bit more complicated than that, especially with these VENTURA kits. We've got some photographs here as well, and it's quite an interesting kit at the end of the day. Now I'm just going to quickly, before we go any further, just bring in my previous VENTURA experience, which was this VENTURA Spitfire Mark 22 that I built about 2 months ago now, when I was just starting out on my YouTube model building journey. And I released a video. I said is this the worst model kit in the world? And a few people, probably quite rightly so, had a bit of a pop at me. I'm a little bit of an indignant person at the end of the day. I didn't take too politely to being shouted at by a load of experienced modelers. And I stuck by my guns and I said, look, I'm going to build this how I want it. And I speed built this particular VENTURA, and this is what I ended up with. I haven't actually finished it yet. Now, as you can see, there are a lot of quite large gaps on this, and it's really badly put together. We'll go into that in a second, because we'll have a look at what we actually get with these kits and the reasons behind why they can actually become, well, I like to think of them now as an ugly duckling that can be turned into a swan. So we'll have a look at this particular model, and we'll see why I sort of ended up with this piece of flying garbage. So on these sprues, you can see you've actually got the undersurface of the wing, and you've got these two top surfaces. This one I think has got some oil or something on it, I'm not quite sure. I'll have to give it a good cleaning. There's a lot of nice detail on these outer surfaces, and this is one of the reasons why a lot of people kind of like these. And the particular shape of the wings and the general fuselage is considered to be one of the most accurate depictions of a Spitfire that you could get at that particular time, which was the 1990s. Our problems start, however, when we turn these over. As you can see, you've got a lot of residue from the injection molding process here. Now, when I put my first one together, I didn't remove any of this, and this is why you get these rather large gaps in the leading edges of the wings. So basically what you need to do here is attack this with a sanding stick. I mean, I have in the past got my Black & Decker sander out onto these models that I don't particularly like, but I have decided that the next time I build one of these, which I think I'll have to build one shortly actually, because it's about time that I actually sort of made up for my mistakes in my earlier video and gave one of these a proper go. So you have to take all this, a lot of this residue out, obviously, because otherwise the top surface of the wing really doesn't have any chance of fitting with the bottom surface. So that's the first major problem we have to do. Obviously, you can see here there's a lot of sort of not quite complete edges as well, so I'm not quite sure how we're going to deal with that, because that's obviously some sort of molding error, I would think. And a bit of filler in there is going to be quite difficult to actually do. Obviously, there's a lot of sanding required here, because where the wings join the sprue is the very large mounting points, and you can see they do quite possibly interfere with the actual shape of the wing as well when you remove them. So that's another interesting little thing to overcome with these rather interesting kits. Moving on to the next sprue, we've got the fuselage and this rather large drop tank. As you can see, the tail here is completely fused to the actual sprue, so that's going to be an interesting job to get that off in a nice way. There are no sort of mounting points really obvious. There's an indentation here where this is supposed to go, but there's no real sort of there's no mounting point to guide you where it's exactly supposed to go. So that's another interesting part. I mean, again, here we've got the landing gear covers, and these are quite heavily attached to the sprue. We have the spinner, and these unfortunate looking pieces here, these are the propeller blades, and yeah, I mean, they're going to need a lot of attention. You can see there that you've got the injection molders totally protruding onto the blade, so that's going to need a lot of sanding to do as well. We've got the exhaust manifolds here, which again, they're very heavily attached to the sprue, and that's going to take some quite careful teasing off, I would have thought. But I've got to be honest with you, I mean, I've actually got another 4 of these. Well, I've got this one and another 3, and my intention for these now is to use them as a gauge as to my progress in my model building experience. So like I say, I think I'm due to build another one of these pretty shortly, to be honest with you, just so we can see how far or how little I've come in the past couple of months in my attempt to improve my abilities. You also get these, you get 2 of these plastic cockpit covers, which are made of a flexible plastic. When I criticised these previously, somebody jumped into their defence and said that these are the best cockpit covers you can buy. You need to cut these from the plastic, and it's like an old vacuum form kit, which I've got a vacuum form kit, and it looks kind of similar to that. I haven't had a go of it yet because they look like a right nightmare. They were one of the early proponents, Ventura, of providing metal parts with kits. So here I think, yeah, what we've got here is we've got some white metal struts, which are 2 of them are parts of the landing gear, and one of them will be the control stick. You also get this piece of mesh, which is intended to be put inside the air intakes, front and back. Again, that's going to be an interesting experience to put them in there, I would have thought. So yeah, so when we have a look at the box, you can actually see on this one, and this one only, the other 4 have no mention of this. It says suitable for experienced modelers only. Ooh. Now, as you know, my channel is called Novice Modelling in the Midlife Crisis, so there is no way that I class myself as an experienced modeler. However, having built this one and churning this piece of utter garbage out, I think I'd probably say that I'm an experienced Ventura modeler, because I have built one, and I don't think there is a lot of people that can maybe say that. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people that have built these and had a go with them, but these things are kicking around on eBay for around about sort of 10 to 15 pounds. So there's quite a lot of these have been bought, and people have opened them up and gone, oh my god, what the hell is this, and quickly put it to the bottom of the stash and consequently sold it on eBay or done whatever with it. But I mean, like I said, I mean, I've got this one and another 3, I think, and my intention is to build them every couple of months and just see what I can do with them and see what my improvement is. I mean, obviously this one is in a state of unfinishedness at the moment. It was one of the first ones that I painted using my mass production technique. I've got a few of the Mark 22s that are actually sort of in this state of unfinishedness as well. I'm going to be finishing these off in a couple of weeks. So yeah, there we go. So this is the kit that I decided to show you today, basically because in the UK for the next hour or so it is actually still Anzac Day, so I think we should remember the sacrifice made by our Australian and New Zealand cousins during the First and Second World War. So like I say, I thought I'd do this one just as a day, and there we go. So I mean, this is one that I'll probably I've no idea when I'm going to build this particular kit, but I am going to build a Ventura probably within the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that. So there we go. So I hope you enjoyed this little video and this little trip into the craziness of Ventura kits. Please like and subscribe and join me for my model building ride. And hello there, Mike, and hello there, Lord Lloyd. Be seeing you.